Hi everyone, today we have a new video and it's all about the Google Pixel 7. Yes, I know, the Google Pixel 6 isn't that old, but yet here we are because Onleaks revealed the full design of it and we can somewhat get some information from that. To begin with, of course, this is all just rumors and we don't have any definitive answer about it. But there are some things I want to discuss. And something you can easily discuss, of course, is in terms of design, how it looks different but yet the same. So let's begin there. Design. So to begin with the Google Pixel 6 we saw a new design, something that looks like sort of glasses, like you know from X-Men, that guy that has like those glasses. I don't know his name, but either way you do know the person that I'm talking about. That kind of design, having that kind of different effect to the camera itself, giving it also a centered look and of course less wobble. But the biggest thing, I think it looks a bit more distinguished than a lot of phones out there. Yes, the Samsung Galaxy S21 does look distinguished as well in terms of design, but also the Google Pixel 6 here. So with the Google Pixel 7, they chose to somewhat go for the same route. However, there are some differences and I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of it. For one, you do still have of course that frame going to the back itself that holds the camera. However, there is, as stated, a difference. With the Google Pixel 6 we did see a difference in level. The frame itself was just a thin bar at the top and bottom at the end for the back where the camera was located. With of course some glass and probably plastic in between there as well. This made it look a bit more streamlined for me. With the Google Pixel 7 however, it does look like the frame is going from one side to the other and then we have kind of a glass cutout for of course the camera setup itself. Not the biggest fan of that. I don't think it looks as styleful as of course the Google Pixel 6. However, this is my opinion and you might have a completely different opinion about this. But you can clearly see there is a difference in terms of design. The biggest thing that I'm intrigued with is how they are going to do that color setup. Because if you do have that frame like that, it does mean that the frame color itself normally follows with of course what you have on the back. It could be however that you just have a section where the frame itself is that color. And then we just have the rest of the frame looking like the color mostly at the bottom glass part, if that makes sense. Then also a design difference is that the 5G antenna normally was on top, completely on top. It looked weird for me and it didn't look that nice. But with the Google Pixel 7 it does look different here. It looks more like a SIM slot kind of effect, without of course having that hole in there. But it kind of looks like that and therefore the 5G antenna won't stand out as much because especially on the front you could see that thin strip of this plastic cover that was just basically there for the 5G antenna. It didn't look good for me, but again, this is my opinion and you might have a different one. Either way, that's also something that we see different on the Google Pixel 7. Sadly, that we don't see any differences, of course, no headphone jack. Yeah, I'm still about that. I love the headphone jack. What can I say? Either way, let's jump to specifications. Now here, I don't expect any big surprises. Most of the time, we just see that they use the latest chip from Qualcomm. Now there's a rumor, it's of course Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus, or it can simply be the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Either way, the latest chip from of course Qualcomm, and we'll see what that means. Of course we do expect a new Tensor chip for the phone as well, however we don't know much about it apart from some codename, but that doesn't say much and we don't know what that actually means in terms of performance, but of course we expect a performance bump when it comes to that. I do hope however with this phone we do get a lot better thermal control because, well, it's no surprise that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 does have some heat issues and I expect the same problem there for the 8 Gen 2. And then of course we have to talk a little bit about the camera. I think what Google did with the camera itself in terms of camera setup, especially for the Pro, is really good. You get that 15 megapixel main sensor for both of them and then a 12 ultra wide again for both of them. I do hope that we get a bump up in terms of camera specs for of course the ultra wide. I think the main sensor is fine, but of course the ultra wide does need that little bit of a bump up when it comes to of course the megapixel count. Especially when you love photography in nature and you love taking for instance wide field of views, then yes, having that higher megapixel count does definitely help. However, I do then also want, of course, a bigger sensor for it. Even though I'm not going to be able to get that phone because it doesn't sell in the Netherlands, like the Pixel 6 and all the other ones before it. I do think that you should get a bigger sensor and of course a megapixel bump up for that ultra wide. I think they're lacking here a little bit with some other companies doing precisely the same as well. But what I will have to say is that they've done well with, of course, the Periscope Lens. The Periscope Lens for the Google Pixel 6 was actually, well, 6 Pro, was actually 48 megapixels. If you look at that, for instance, with the Samsung Galaxy S21 and with the S22 Ultra as well, you do see that it only is a 10 megapixel resolution. That's quite low, and I'm not all about having higher megapixels here. But I do think that the Periscope should be a higher megapixel count, especially when the phone is focusing on zooming in with that lens. I think having that higher megapixel count really does benefit it. But I don't think they will do much in terms of bumping the resolution for that. I don't think there's any need for it. Maybe we will see, however, a higher resolution for the main sensor, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get that. Maybe they will have a bump in resolution for the main sensor. I wouldn't be surprised, but I highly doubt it, and I think focusing on a better sensor matters more than anything else, especially with computational photography being the main drive for phones these days. And let's be fair, a lot of people use the pixel binning and not the full 108 megapixels or the full 15 megapixel shot either way. Anyway, these are the rumors for the Google Pixel 7. There isn't much to be known about it yet, apart from design. That is pretty much set in stone because it's Onleaks and he's a really trustworthy source when it comes to leaks. So there you go, that's the design, and I think it definitely will look like that. But when it comes to specifications, there's a lot of rumors and a lot of unknowns about it at the moment. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video about the Google Pixel 7 and 7 Pro. And of course, if you did, don't forget to leave a like and of course comment below, and of course subscribe and hit that bell icon and all that stuff, and get this channel to 1K pretty quickly so we can monetize it and all that stuff. Anyway, have a good one and talk to you guys in the next.